Andrea Tessmann, Brad Nelson. I have
Kirk Buchner.
I have questions for you. Just one, actually.
Questions or one for both of us?
No. Yes, but you might have a different answer. What are the things you can do without?
These.
So many. These, yes.
Yeah. For me, it's midgets. I think you're awful people if you happen to be listening. And you're really self-entitled. I hate you all. Yeah, look at me, I'm a midget. Okay, that's just something that I can do without.
Brad, this is not the time for midget porn stories.
No, but I have issues with Kirk not liking midgets. And we don't call them that. That's a derogatory term.
Well, I can still do without little people. How about that?
If I need all the good little people karma on my side if I'm ever going to achieve one of my life goals.
Oh, okay. I kind of figured out this whole midget porn thing. By the way, I've actually done that. I'll tell you that later.
Yeah.
And moving right along.
Yes.
As the great Kermit the Frog once said.
So we are discussing how the hell did this get to number one? A song that I didn't hate from a band I didn't hate. Just thinking of the 13-year-old me. Tears for Fears, Shout.
I personally quite like this song.
Okay.
For a few reasons. The most predominant one being that it is just such a good, applicable to anything. Fuck the fuck right off, you fucking fuck. That's all I get from this song. It's just the ultimate, like, and for those of you who might be listening, I am just flipping you off right now. That's all.
Not personally, not necessarily.
Not personally, not you. I love you all. Except that bitch that told us to go back to our cave. That's fine.
Crevice.
Yeah, crevice. But the rest of you, I love all of you. But this song, it's just this beautiful, simple expression of just fuck this shit.
So before this, they had already they hadn't really hit it big in North America. They were doing
they did.
Well, they had, not big.
They charted with Everybody Wants to Rule the World in the US.
Before this album. I should have worded that better. So before this album, because they had a couple songs that I actually like a lot better that charted very well in England. Pale Shelter.
Yep. Pale Shelter actually charted here well in Canada.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Mad World, which
Mad World is just a phenomenal song.
Mm-hmm. It is. Even though I like What's His Face's cover better.
I know. Yeah, I'm blanking.
Gary Jules? No. Is it Gary? No. The hell's his name?
No, it's not Gary Glitter.
No, but it was. I mean, the first time I heard the cover after hearing the original was, of course, Donnie Darko.
Yeah.
Michael Andrews?
No.
R.E.M. did a good version of it.
Yeah.
You're thinking Michael Stipe.
No, I'm not, but I'm going to look it up here.
Gary Jules.
It was Gary Jules.
Gary Jules did a piano version.
Should have gone with my first instinct then, because it comes in piano heavy, and the song actually has more sadness to it than the Tears for Fears version did. It emotes harder,
which they acknowledged.
Yeah, actually, they were saying the lead singer started doing it in Gary Jules' style, much like Dylan would do All Along the Watchtower in Hendrix's style, because they loved that version so much. And then, of course, there's Disturbed, but yeah.
So this was their breakthrough, or breakthrough album, because like you said, Brad, Everybody Wants to Rule the World was released first. I forget, did that go number one? But I know it charted very, very. It did also go number one. Okay.
Yeah, I think it went number one.
It went number one first.
Okay. I think that's actually a much better song, personally, in terms of structure, lyrics. But this song, to your point, Andrea, this actually reminds me of something, Brad, that you wanted to pick, which We Will Rock You.
Mm-hmm.
A very simple message. And the chorus is the star of almost every song. But without this chorus, this is nothing.
Well,
'Cause
and that's part of this song is that it is not really a traditional pop song structure. It
Mhm.
doesn't go verse, chorus, verse, bridge, chorus, verse, like chorus. It is so just built around this chorus.
Yeah, it leads into it. Like
It leads into
builds
it.
to it.
And then it builds on it harmonically and rhythmically in the background.
Mhm.
So it starts out pretty like Brad, when I brought the song up last week, you said, oh, well, it's kind of a like, sure, it's a fuck you, but it's kind of a like dull fuck you. And I'm like, no, there's a lot of emotion in it still,
Mhm.
but in a very like I'm just tired of this shit. Like,
See, like when I think protest song, I think somebody getting angry or scathing lyrics and what have you. And it's weird because in this one here, unless you really, and I maybe this is my own filter, but unless you really look into the lyrics themselves and applying my filter to it, at least, I came up with the idea of, the whole I really want to break your heart is I want to open your eyes. I want to show you how bad it is. I want you to realize how horrible it is. And then that's going to break your heart, not the pop song romantic breaking your heart kind of thing. That was one of the big lyrics in there. The only reason I said it was a bit dull though is because for a protest song, it's not a banger like a U2 protest song when they were originally an Irish protest band.
well, no, and that's really true. And although they say it's a protest song, and it is,
Mhm.
it is not a traditional protest song. It's not about anything specific.
Mhm.
And one of the reasons why I picked it is it just kind of fits my mood right now of fuck this shit. Like, it's generic enough that sure, in 1985 there were all sorts of things going on in the world that were way worse than what's going on right now.
Mhm.
What's going on right now is its own brand of fuckery. And we're all super fucking sick of it.
Yeah.
And
for different reasons.
you know what? One of the things I can do without right now is fucking COVID. Like, if it weren't for that, my life would be pretty sweet right now. As it is, it's pretty fucking boring. I don't have a whole lot to bitch about. I'm middle class white girl that has a great job and has a good life.
Yeah.
I-
Going back to what you were saying before,
Rom-com.
you're looking at 1985, middle of the Cold War. Pop is king right now. It's displacing rock. 80s synth pop is pretty much where it's at. So these guys come in with this song, this formula. They're sitting in the front room of I can't remember his name now. They're sitting in his house though, and they sit there and they write this, and they're like, oh, this is so simple. We're gonna record this and we're gonna bang it out within a day. And 5 weeks later, they're still arguing about where things should go. They're fine tuning it. They're tweaking it. Because it is simplistic on the surface, but yet complex. And a real anachronism is the video that goes along with this.
The video is so boring and kind of bad, but it also, the simplicity of it actually makes it great.
Well, and what was weird for me is, okay, it starts off with these guys hanging out on the hillside and what have you, and sweeping vistas and nature, and these are the things you can do without. But it's none of what they're showing has any bearing on the song itself. And then they got a bunch of kids and randos and what have you all singing along, smiling, clapping, having a good time by the end of it. And you're like, oh, okay, is this We Are the World Part 2? Because you guys are having too much fun to be pissed off.
I think this is
So
also
they missed out on We Are the World. They were off touring, weren't they?
Yeah, actually, they Geldof had asked them to go to Live Aid.
No, it was Live Aid. It wasn't. It wasn't We Are the World. It was Live Aid.
Geldof had asked them to do Live Aid, and can't remember his name right now for the life of me, but I'm going to paraphrase his quote. He says Geldof was really pissed that we didn't make it to Live Aid, and to think we're responsible for all those children or all those millions of starving people. Boy, I know what Hitler felt like now.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
wow.
they were
Usually Emily
announced
only
to
gives the
be
Hitler reference.
they were announced to be in the Live Aid lineup without
Oh.
actually getting their agreement to do it. So
that's Geldof's fault. There you go.
yeah.
So I think with this one, we're hitting on a lot of stuff. Brad, to add to your point, as synth pop was sort of like fading out, that's really what this is. It's a hybrid of that earlier synth sound. It was rock enough to be played on the rock stations, pop enough to be played on the pop stations, and it really fit everywhere. So you've got an easy to remember chorus that you're hitting right over the head with it automatically. It could be played everywhere. And that chorus, it didn't matter what you were upset about. To your point, Andrea, so I guess as a 13-year-old, what was I upset about? Probably my parents. I don't know. Could do without being told what to do. Is that how I thought of it at the time? No, this was just a band that was there for me. I discovered more of their earlier material as I got older. But I could see why, even back then, as a kid, like why this was a hit, because it had everything going for it. Looking at this now, it's because sometimes these two guys come off very pretentious when you see interviews, no matter what they're doing. It's like, well, yes, we were talking about all this stuff. Like, come on, you came up with something deliberately vague. You're protesting, but protesting what? I don't know.
They're protesting these
things.
It's like the Foo Fighters. They fight Foo. Have you ever seen Foo? No. So they're doing a good job.
Yeah, I never thought of it that way. See, I thought they were Foo and they were fighters, not fighting Foo.
Oh.
Now,
hot take, Kirk. Hot take.
Yeah, that's what you came here for. So let's look at these lyrics again. None of this is really specific on anything. Verse 1, in violent times, you shouldn't have to sell your soul. In black and white, they really ought to know. Who ought to know?
They.
Yeah, okay. It's like it's stuff that these belong to.
Those one-track minds that took you for a working boy.
Prostitute.
Okay. Kiss them goodbye. You shouldn't have to jump for joy. You shouldn't have to jump for joy. Maybe
you shouldn't have to shout.
You shouldn't have to celebrate other people's victories, let's say.
Okay, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what they're exactly trying. Like this.
Again, this comes down to what I was saying before. You got to put your own filters on it.
Yeah.
And figure out what it means to you. Because it's not explicitly, you're absolutely right, Kirk. It's not explicitly saying this is the thing that I'm raving about. Like going back to the U2 songs, you knew what those were about. Those were about Irish independence. And, they made no secret about it. There was no obfuscation or anything like that. This is just a little more, I think, intentionally vague.
Yeah, it's absolutely intentionally vague.
Okay. Verse 2, they gave you life and in return you gave them hell.
Going back to your parents.
As cold as ice, I hope we live to tell the tale. I hope we live to tell the tale. I mean, it's just not even finishing. It's so short.
Ice, ice, baby.
Boom, 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 boom.
It's gonna happen, by the way.
Oh, it will. It will.
Then we get to address a Queen song.
Yes. Although, no, I'll save that for when we decide that. Verse 3, and when you've taken down your guard, if I could change your mind, I'd really love to break your heart. I'd really love to break your heart.
See, and I agree with Brad's comment on that one. If I could change your mind, and when you've taken down literally when you've actually taken down your guard and we can have a discussion, let me show you how terrible whatever the shit we're talking about is. We're not talking about any specific shit here. It's whatever
we're talking about these.
We're talking about these, not bees,
Not Shaft.
not Shaft, not bees, but these. But it's whatever the disagreement, when you take down your guard and I can explain it to you, it will break your heart. Which goes for so many things.
Yeah, the moment you take off your blinders, you realize how bad things might be. Like working on cruise ships and seeing the area that we pulled into versus some of the areas around that, Haiti being the number one spot that we pulled into. You could see abject poverty when you got out of your.
What are you going on?
There was with Royal Caribbean, there was a spot called Labadie that they leased from Haiti. And it was a fenced off area with armed guards at checkpoints around the area that the tourists never saw because they would set back a ways. But yeah, if you Google Labadie, you'll see that that's Royal Caribbean's private little section of Haiti.
Huh. I was on a Mediterranean cruise a few years ago, and some of the ports we went to in Spain, I want to say, like, you take a bus 20 minutes out of the city to go try to check out some beaches, and it's just slums. Like,
yeah. So when you drop your guard, now I really want to break your heart.
Yeah. You're very close to these affluent neighborhoods, and it's very common with cruise ships, honestly, that they pull into ports that look beautiful because there's a ton of money from the cruise ship coming in, but you move more than 20 kilometers outside of that, and it's not.
Oh, we used to port in LA or just outside of LA.
No, that's not pretty.
No, there's a diamond encrusted jewel. Well, diamond encrusted, cubic zirconium encrusted cut glass surrounded by a pile of dog poop.
Anyway, back to Tears for Fears.
Yeah, I guess, my lens, I still can't help but think of me as a 13-year-old with that. And almost like you could almost interpret it this way. Well, if you take down your guard, now you'll see the way that I see things. And I don't want to come off like a petulant child, but a petulant child could identify with that. Because as we're growing up and trying to find ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
I was an actual child when this song came out. And then when I started to actually listen to 80s music and enjoy it, would have been in my teens. And this song just works beautifully with random bullshit teenage angst.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's why I like it.
Is this brilliantly vague, or is it deliberately lazy?
Well, I mean, why do you think it did so well as a Disturbed cover?
I think it's brilliantly vague. I don't think it's lazy.
Okay. And I don't know. I'm just, with these guys, I mean, you're not going to, if they ever did something lazy, it's not like they're going to tell you.
No, but even that, looking at Tears for Fears lyrics in general, it's not, there's no bad songwriting in any of their hits. It's maybe a little sleepy for a lot of it. Like, there's no real bangers. But it's like I was saying, it worked really well as a Disturbed cover, because when you put some angry, emotive vocals behind those lyrics, it really it makes the song pop, I think.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that cover of it.
And then there's the Scandroids as well, which sort of brought it up to a early 2000s or mid 2000s vibe, but with the video basically looks back on 80s culture kind of thing and shows people sort of regressing to 80s outfits and stuff.
And then there's this Simon Cowell James Corden cover of it that they tried to make a soccer/football anthem out of it, with James Corden and some Black British rapper that I don't know because I don't know rap. And it's absolutely terrible. Do not watch it. But it made #1 in the UK, where the original version did not.
You know what else is terrible? James Corden.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure because when I
No,
told you I
no,
pulled
fully
that from
agree.
Jimmy Fallon. Okay,
There's no room for debate.
100%.
all right.
James Corden is a just
He's a little princess.
Okay, here's my official prediction for over the next 24 months. He's going to get the Ellen DeGeneres treatment, meaning that people are going to figure out what a complete jack off he really is.
He
I call him the
wants to be
C
a
word,
Broadway
but
star. He wants to be a Broadway star, but apparently couldn't make it, so he does late night comedy. Like, I don't get it. And
No
then
such
it's
thing
the
as
same.
anymore.
A lot of the late night comedians do the same jokes over and over, but he does them and they are literally the same jokes. At least when a lot of them do a bit, the bit progresses and changes. With him, it's the exact same joke.
Miss Letterman.
no,
Oh.
James Corden only ever did one good thing, and that was his slightly recurring role on Doctor Who.
Never seen Doctor Who.
And
I've not watched Doctor
he did a
Who.
great job with that. But yeah, like I was going to say, you call him the C word, but he lacks the warmth and the depth.
Well, so moving on, I guess this was their high point. They had another massive hit from this album, Head Over Heels. Then what did you get? I don't know if you sort of explored this. I did, just because I really enjoyed this album. Sowing their album after Sowing the Seeds of Love, a more ambitious project visually and with the audio. Woman
I
in
didn't
Chains.
spend much time looking into that this past week.
Okay, so but yeah, they had a very good decade. This was with this sort of being their literal high point, I would say.
Mm.
I think this was between this and Everybody Wants to Rule the World. They were probably the number one artist
Duo.
in North America at that point.
Here's a bit of trivia for you. Off that first album, Songs from the Big Chair, why is it called Songs from the Big Chair?
Don't know why.
Because the big chair was from the movie Sybil.
Hmm.
Yeah, about the girl with multiple personalities. And so Songs from the Big Chair was like you're singing from the therapist's chair, basically.
They were also really into primal scream therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And they outright said the song doesn't have to do with that, but it kind of does. Like,
great. Now I've got Yoko Ono doing it.
Shut up about Yoko. Just Yoko can fuck right up.
Wow.
But the primal scream thing doesn't have to directly relate to music. It basically is just like letting out a whole lot of emotions just by screaming.
Andrea, I hope you're happy we've lost Yoko as a sponsor.
Pretty sure Yoko was never going to sponsor us.
You can be my Yoko Ono.
I will follow you wherever you go.
Be my Yoko Ono. Whoa, whoa.
Although I do sort of appreciate the whole sort of, anyway, that was going to go somewhere it shouldn't. I'll move on.
No, actually, they were talking about, they were a big follower of the doctor that pioneered primal scream therapy and eventually became John Lennon's therapist for primal scream therapy. I can't remember the doctor's name right now, but I was looking him up before. And yeah, they were a big fan of his teachings. So it's natural that you hear primal scream and then you hear the song Shout and you're thinking, okay, it's got some sort of correlation, which it may, but that wasn't what they had intended. I mean, it might have come out in the wash that it was, something they were thinking about as they were writing the song. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have any final thoughts before you hear what shit sandwich I've got for you next week?
Fuck this shit. That's all I have to say. That's
Okay.
my analysis of this
Tears
song.
for Fears never wrote a banger. They wrote some great music, though.
Okay. Well, we're going to go a few years back next week, 1978, and a cover.
Oh, geez.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. by somebody I actually like quite a bit, and I don't think ever got her proper due, even though she was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I'm talking about Donna Summer.
Oh, which one are we doing? Are we doing Last Dance?
No.
Donna Summer. Oh, don't leave me hanging.
MacArthur Park, because we're going to talk about a wet cake.
Donna Summer's
Oh.
MacArthur Park made number 1?
Yep.
Oh man. What
MacArthur Park?
Required homework is to watch the Richard Harris version first.
Oh, Kirk.
Oh,
But I've
Kirk.
tried so hard to bake
thought
it.
we were
I don't never
friends.
have that recipe again.
I'm gonna go back to listening to Disco Duck, I think.
Disco Duck can never come back. He will haunt us forever.
Yes. Donna Summer,
MacArthur Park?
MacArthur Park.
How did that
I will
chart?
never have
know,
that
because-
recipe again.
And she did a disco version of it because that's what they did.
Of
And that's
course
what you
she
got.
did.
And yes,
Disco MacArthur Park sounds terrible.
It
It's
is.
like reanimating a dead corpse that's already rotten and stinky and can barely stand
I don't
up.
want to hear more about your fetishes.
I'm just gonna go hide now.
Yes, it makes me wish I had more hair.
And with that, the show is closed. Stay safe, everybody. I'm actually sober on this one, so I can do my usual plugs.
Did you write a book?
I wrote a book. Shit,
Kirk, you wrote a book.
I wrote a book. Wrestling fans, remember the late, great Chavo Guerrero? If you haven't, read his book. Chavo Guerrero, instant classic, Chavo Sr. Also, I do other shows. The Hall of Fame show, where we talk about halls of fame, because the website's not in halloffame.com. You may have put that together. Also,
It's not just music, it's not just sports. It's all the things, all the halls of fame.
yes, it is. And Chris Bournet and I, we do a semi-regular show where we look at crappy television and ask, how did this crap get on national TV? You know what we're going to be doing this week?
What's that?
Manimal.
We're going to be looking at the 2003 show, Are You Hot?
Oh,
What?
Yeah.
have you guys done Manimal yet?
No. What's the premise of Are You Hot?
I don't
Please.
know. It's basically vapid people looking at themselves and asking the audience if they're hot.
Brad, he could maybe do that British one where they just look at people's junk.
Oh, Naked Attraction is so awesome.
I'm not familiar with that.
Oh, seriously,
Moving on.
if you get the BBC or I signed up for Amazon Prime's free BBC thing, binged it within my free trial period and then canceled it because there was nothing else that I wanted to watch. But I saw one episode of Naked Attraction and it's brilliant. It starts off with like 6 or 7 people behind 6 or 7 screens of different colors. And then it reveals them from the toes to the hips. And the person picking has to pick one of those people based on toes to hips. So we're looking at male and female junk. And then they reveal up to the shoulders. And they got to eliminate another person out of that. And then they reveal the face. They got to eliminate somebody else. And then they get to talk. And they eliminate one more. And they go on a date. And it hardly ever works out well.
That's strange because in dating shows it always works out.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So basing your attraction on people's junk almost never works out. So
It's only the junk to start.
life lessons. Move on.
All right.
Kirk,
Yes.
any other shows?
Well, that's it. That's all I got.
All right. So next week we're going to talk about Donna Summer.
And
Yep.
MacArthur friggin' Park.
You guys keep making good
Um,
songs. So I mean, like, you're not getting the grasp of what this show is called.
Yeah.
How the hell did this go number 1?
Right.
And with that, let's say goodnight, everybody. And
Good night, everybody.
Take care.
fuck-